Hey guys, welcome back to Father and Son Investing Channel. We're going to talk about Nanox today. Now, this is a make or break week for Nanox in my opinion. Maybe not totally break, but definitely a chance to make their business more popular, more well known, and maybe give them some more credibility. Why is that? Well, this week is the RSNA meeting, which is held annually in Chicago. What is RSNA? It stands for Radiological Society of North America. It is the largest imaging society in the world. Now, while it's called the Radiological Society of North America, it is a worldwide organization. They have over 53,000 members in 144 countries. Annually, the week after Thanksgiving, they hold their meeting in Chicago. It is enormous. It's held at McCormick Place, this massive assembly hall in Chicago, and they have two enormous rooms where manufacturers, developers, and suppliers of medical information and technology come to display their wares. It is the place every year where people who want to get their product known by the radiology community come. In fact, some people only go to this one meeting to display their products every year in terms of imaging. Now, the Radiological Society of North America is very well respected. They produce two peer-reviewed journals, one called Radiographics and one called Radiology, that are very widely read. In the past, there have been almost 700 exhibitors at this meeting. This year, there's going to be less. It's only about 500. Now, Nanox is going to be one of those. Now, they have a booth on site this year. Last year, everything was just done virtually. Nanox has a booth on site, and they also still have their virtual booth as well. Now, Nanox has a booth on site this year. Last year, it was strictly just a virtual meeting, and so all of the displays were also virtual. This year, they are physically located within that assembly hall. In fact, here's their location on the map. They're located in the AI showcase, and I think the reason for that is that recently Nanox, of course, purchased Zebra. Zebra is one of those AI imaging companies, and so they're located there in the AI showcase. So Nanox also has an industry session at this conference. Yesterday afternoon, they presented Imaging AI Meets Population Health. Now, I mentioned that this is the largest imaging conference in the world. Typically, there's about 50 to 60,000 attendees at this meeting, and of those, about 26,000 of them will be medical professionals. We're talking about radiologists and other physicians. We're talking about hospital executives who may be in charge of purchasing medical equipment. We're talking about IT managers, practice managers, health consultants, and their support personnel. So why is this such an important meeting for exhibitors and particularly for Nanox this year? Well, the return on investment on this is incredible, actually. They state here that over the next year, you and your team would have to meet with over 500 medical professionals a week, or about 74 per day, to achieve the same access to these valuable contracts you'll receive at RSNA. They also talk about the average price for a face-to-face sales call, about $400. And they say here, for less than the price of 10 face-to-face sale calls, you can gain access to over 20,000 professional buyers. Now, why do I think this meeting is critical for Nanox? Well, in the past, Nanox certainly has been at RSNA, but they haven't been there in this type of situation. They now have one product that has been FDA cleared. Granted, it doesn't do very much, this one product yet, but they have another device that is in the process of trying to get FDA clearance. They also recently purchased Zebra Medical, who already has multiple FDA items that have been cleared and are in use. They also went public last year, which certainly has given their company a lot more notoriety, both good and bad. For these reasons, I think that this year is critical for Nanox at this RSNA meeting to be able to push that level of credibility ahead and get people interested in their product. So I'm going to take you inside the Nanox virtual conference room at RSNA. Now, interestingly, they have a video there that says, Nanox, the future is now. And I think that's very apropos because I really think the future of their company rests on now, particularly this meeting, and of course the FDA clearance process that is still underway. And speaking of credibility, again this year they have a video that has well-known imaging professionals who are talking about Nanox, trying to lend some credibility to this company. They have Dr. Peter Dawson from England, who is an MD and a PhD. He was trained as a physicist and is currently a radiologist. They have Dr. Jeffrey Rubin, who is professor and chief of the Department of Medical Imaging at the University of Arizona. Now, it's important to know that all of these people are members of the Nanox Advisory Board. So while I personally don't think they're going to risk their professional reputations to tout something that they think is a farce, it is important to know that they do have this professional obligation or this work obligation to Nanox itself. They also have a video there that's going to highlight some of their Nanox AI. Of course, that came about when they purchased Zebra. So they do have some deep tech enhanced AI solutions. Of course, that's going to be working with their Nanox Arc and also with that Nanox Source. And they have this thing now called robodiology. The bone health solution is actually interesting here. They're using AI to take regular scans, CT scans, medical imaging scans that get performed for some other reason. A patient came to the emergency department and they get a CT scan. But they can actually run this particular AI solution to look at the patient's bones and let them know if they have osteoporosis or not. Just adding value to imaging that's already been done. The same type of thing can be done for the heart. There is a particular type of CT scan that looks at the heart and the amount of calcium that's in a person's coronary arteries, the arteries that feed the heart. And that amount of calcium tells us how much atherosclerotic disease they have. And it's directly correlated. The more calcium that's in there, in those vessels, the higher the risk for the patient to have a heart attack. So the same type of AI solution can be performed on the heart. As long as the scan includes the heart in there, it can look at the amount of calcium that is within the heart, and we can tell a patient, hey, you might be at increased risk for heart disease, rather than having to have them come in just specifically for that particular type of heart CT scan. Now, what's the last reason why I think that this is make or break the year that Nanox can really establish itself in the radiology community? They're going to have another presentation from Israel tomorrow morning, December 1st. It'll be at 10:30 Central Time in the United States. And it will be coming from a hospital this year. Last year it came from their Nanox facility in Israel. So I'll be watching that video tomorrow. I'll give you my opinion in a video afterwards to tell you how I think it went, what I think was good, and what I think they could have done better. So for the reasons that I presented to you today, I think again that this is a make or break week for Nanox. Certainly a chance to really make their case, and potentially if they don't do well, they can really set their business back. Let me know what you think. Feel free to contradict anything I had to say. There are a couple of people who are in comment prison, as my son calls it, not because they disagreed with me, but because of the way in which they vehemently disagree. Although he says he might let them out just to get a kick out of what some of the comments might be. Please share this information with a young person in your life. And as always, until next time, enjoy your investing.